Hello there and welcome. Today we're going to talk about trust. My name is Maya Joy Kana. Welcome to the Maya's Dream community. And today's message is going to be about the importance of trust as we navigate these lives that we're all living temporarily here on the earth plane. One thing I've learned walking this spiritual path is that sometimes you just have to trust. Sometimes you just have to trust that what's taking place in your life right now is exactly what you need and exactly what you planned. Last week I heard an amazing metaphor while I was listening to the book Journey of Souls on audio. Actually, you guys, it's really great. It's a great free audio here on YouTube. It's like 7 hours long. But anyway, you know, the book itself is about people's memory of, well, our true home, the life that we live in between lives. And I was listening to a chapter about when we plan our incarnations on earth. And yes, it's true. There was a time, slightly before you were born to your parents in this life, where you sat down with your team of guides and your soul family in the higher realms, and you actually planned out this incarnation that you were going to be living. You planned out even this moment, even listening to this today. And anyway, so there was a soul describing the process of creating their life plan with their guide. And they said that the life plan itself visually almost looks like a tree. If you visualize a tree, and they said the trunk of the tree is our main path in life. That's our main path that we're going to walk down. You know, I knew in this lifetime, okay, I'm going to be Maya, and here's my path, and that's the trunk of the tree. And then this wonderful soul said that the branches of the tree are like side roots. You know, those are like our side paths in life, or those little explorations that we go on. And they said, you know, these branches, these side roots, are all planned in advance. And that the wonderful thing about them is just like if you imagine the tree, right? Where do all the branches lead back to, right? They're all still connected to that trunk. So you really, like in life, you can go down whichever branches that are available to you, but it's not really as if all possible paths are available to you in life. There are some choices that veer just away from the trunk. There are a certain number of branches, but even all those branches, even all those side paths, even all those alternate routes are only really available from choices that you designed in advance. And you can only go so far down the branch, right? The branches are only so long. You can only go so far down that path before it comes to an end, and then you've got to turn around and go back to that trunk, or go back to that main path in your life. And I don't know, but for some reason this tree metaphor, it really stuck out to me. And I really found it to be the most beautiful thing and so incredibly reassuring. And I just feel in this moment, if we can all just sort of take a deep breath and just sort of ground and just understand that, like, wherever you find yourself right now, this is a part of your path, okay? This is a part of your life's design. And I think it'll really help all of us if we let go of any idea that we might be off path. You know, sometimes we carry around this idea, like, of not being where we're meant to be in our life, or this idea something's wrong, or I need to figure out where I'm going from here. What if where you are right now is where you're going? What if where you are right now is exactly where you're meant to be? What if your life is planned so carefully and so divinely and so well that you literally can't mess it up? What if there's no way to mess it up? What if everything that looks like a side path was already part of your plan in the first place? Sometimes you just have to trust that that's the way that it is. Sometimes you just have to trust that right now you're exactly where you're meant to be, that you are on your path. Sometimes you just have to trust that everything that led you to this exact moment was part of a perfect plan, a perfect tapestry that was woven together to make for your most perfect life. Sometimes life can get hard. Sometimes we get tested. Sometimes we have a bad day. Sometimes we wake up, we don't feel good. Sometimes we wake up, we don't feel good for 10 days in a row. Sometimes we wake up, we don't feel good for 100 days in a row. Sometimes we wake up, we don't feel good for years. And wow, we need to have compassion for ourselves when we're in those circumstances. And I think sometimes when we're not feeling good, we can start to think, I must not be on my path. Okay, I must not be on my path because I don't feel good. I think what we have to realize is that Earth is not exactly the home of our soul. But Earth is a place where we come to have experiences to grow our soul. And that's a very different thing, isn't it, right? This is not our true home, but this is a place where we get to practice those skills that we learn when we are home. And many of us, most of us, all of us, specifically come here to be challenged. And we specifically design into our tree trunk life plan. We specifically design those circumstances in life that are going to test our faith. Because we find that very exciting. As a soul, we want to grow our capacity for faith. We want to grow our capacity for trust. We want to grow our capacity for love. We want to grow our capacity for healing, right? We want to grow our capacity for healing. How do we do that? Well, we design into our life experiences that will make us wounded because our soul wants to have the opportunity to be able to heal. Isn't that so funny? We want to grow our faith and our trust in our higher self, in the universe, in a higher power. So how do we do that? We design into our life circumstances that are going to feel hopeless, that are going to test our trust, that are going to test our faith. And this is what our soul finds exciting, And so sometimes when we get in those situations in life and, things are really feeling kind of bleak, it's just important for us to remember that feeling of bleakness might actually be something that we designed as a part of our path. That rather than being a symptom of a problem, it might actually be part of the circumstances that are needed for those revelations that we intended to have in this lifetime, right? Like sometimes when it feels like you're in a stuck place and you do everything to try to get out, right? Like you do everything to try to get unstuck, but you fail at getting unstuck. It's because at that particular point in your life, that stuck feeling is exactly what you need. How crazy is that, right? That stuck feeling might be what your soul designed, And as much as we sometimes want to end that stuff and we want to push through it and we want to move through it and we want it to end, you might have planned to feel stuck for a little bit of time because that was going to do any number of things, right? That was going to eventually lead to you breaking through some sort of pattern that had been a part of your soul's experience for lifetimes, or, because you felt stuck, you were going to develop a huge capacity for compassion. Such great compassion, and from that place you're going to be able to understand others and relate to others later on and help other people that were feeling stuck, or there's so many different things. Some of us who are listening today actually are preparing to be teachers healers, or even junior guides in the higher realms. And so sometimes we actually take on really difficult life circumstances because we want to have those recent experiences so that when we go back home and when we go back to the higher realms, that we can actually say, listen, I just had a life as, insert your name here. I just had a life where I was blank, and I lived through a time of poverty. I lived through a time of illness. I lived through a time of loneliness. Okay, and here's how I dealt with it in my recent life on Earth, and here's some strategies for how you might want to deal with it in your upcoming life on Earth. And I think especially those of us who are in roles of teaching or healing in the higher realms, we especially want to earn some street cred, if you will. And so we do that in our lifetimes on Earth because we want to be inspirational to those that we're supporting and assisting in our helping roles on the other side. So anyway, the message is one of trust, right? And our minds can drive us crazy and question what we're experiencing and tell us that things are wrong and tell us that we're imperfect and, we're stupid or we're weak in all these different ways and stuff like that. But that's not ever the truth. That's not ever the highest truth. The highest truth is always that you are exactly who you're meant to be. That your body right now is exactly how it's meant to be. That the circumstances of your life are exactly how they are meant to be. That you're exactly where you're meant to be so that you can become the person that you set out to be in this life. And it's really important for you to remember and remind yourself that your life is carefully planned. Your life was carefully planned in advance to give you the exact experiences that you needed to rise to the occasion of your soul and to develop those capacities and skills and areas of expertise for your soul that you are working on right now. And for each of us, it's a little bit different. And that's why our lives are so different. Because, some people are here and, they're learning primarily about compassion or things like that. And so they're going to have all these, experiences in their life that lead them down that road. Other souls are here. They've mastered compassion. They feel for everyone. But they're here in this lifetime, and they're learning about, say, healing, and they're learning about that process. And so we're all here learning about different things, but every single person is getting exactly what they need to develop that core capacity that their soul's working on in this lifetime. Okay, so trust that if you're struggling, it's not a punishment. That struggle itself is not a punishment. That struggle is a gift. And the gift that you're getting is the gift of growth and the gift of alignment and the gift of understanding your own personal strength as a soul. And, I often feel that it's our most difficult lives on Earth that we cherish the most, and we wear them kind of like a badge of honor when we go back to our true home. It's like, we have so much excitement when we share, guess what, I lived through a whole lifetime of illness, or I lived through war, or I just we just take so much pride in these lives, and when we're living them, it can feel like we're failing or we're not living up to what we intended, but actually, most likely, you're succeeding beyond your wildest imagination, and that feeling is really just a construct of your mind, right? That belief that things are not as they're meant to be it's really just your mind forgetting the time when you made this plan, the time when you actually planned this exact moment. So just know, okay, maybe you've chosen to walk down one of the tree branches, and explore one of the many alternate paths that you selected as a part of your perfect tapestry for this life. But everything's leading you back to the trunk. There's really only one way up, there's really only one path, and everything's going to lead you back to that main path. So trust that you can't mess this up, okay? It's time for us all to let go of the fear of messing it up and realize that that doesn't really exist, that sort of thing isn't really permitted. Okay, that all of this was planned a lot more carefully than you could ever imagine. Yeah? And that's such a relief, isn't it? Right? That's such a relief. So when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel doubt, when you feel down, trust. Sometimes you've just got to trust that all those things that you saw as being wrong turns led you right where you were meant to be. That all those things that you perceive as inadequacies or mistakes were not mistakes at all, but that they were just, those sort of bumpy places in the bark of a tree. They were built right in the whole time. Yeah? So today my message is just trust. Have a little more trust. Have a little more faith. Your life is a perfect expression of the divine. You are where you're meant to be, and you are headed in your right direction. And you've never have been and never will be off your intended path. That sort of thing simply just doesn't exist. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's message. It has been an absolute honor to connect with all of you. If you did like today's message on trust, please feel free to come back anytime here to the Maya's Dream channel. We would love to have you. So go forth and shine your light and enjoy this moment. Enjoy this lifetime that you're in. You're going to look back on this someday very nostalgically, and you're going to be wearing that badge of honor for all you accomplished in this particular lifetime in the here and now. So take a deep breath and cherish every moment. Thank you again for being here today. Many blessings and namaste.